Okay, today we are going to attempt to build this NuScripy language using LeanAI harness for local LLMs. This is going to use 3 different LLMs in sequence. First will be GPT OSS 20B, which will question us and kind of look around and try to kind of figure out what we want. Then it will use Gemma 26B Q8, 128 context window. And then it will go to the expert model, which is going to be Gemma 4 31B with a 64K context window. And let's see if Local LLM can build his thing. He said it's not possible. Let's see if that's true or not. I don't think it is. I think it can do it. So let's see what happens. Let's copy his README because that's all he has in his repo. So and so that everybody knows, this is a completely blank, empty repo. The only reason this folder exists is it always exists every time you run the LeanAI app in a new folder. Okay, so let's ask the LLM to help us build this. Can you help me write a plan to build the following? Boom. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it understands that we need a script interpreter. And yeah, ChatGPT does this a lot. Alright, so let's do a little bit of a change. ChatGPT is a pain in the absolute never-ending rear. So let's just turn it off. Let's get rid of ChatGPT altogether. Alright, goodbye ChatGPT. You're fun to chat with. You do a good job, but not for coding. Alright, restart the backend with just Gemma. 26B is the model we'll be talking with and doing the code entries. And Gemma 31B actually doing the planning piece. Alright, let's see what happens. Let's try again. Alright. Oops. I don't think I have the can you help me build. Can you help me build the following project? Or can you help me build the following project? Help me build a plan to generate the following project. There we go. Simple query with the details from the README, nothing extra here. And obviously I'm streaming so you guys can see if I'm cheating, which I'm not. Because I'm curious too. I think my harness can do it. We'll see. Jim's got to think about it. It's going to take her a second. And this is the Q8 version. Okay, so just kind of looking around to see what's available, which is nothing, obviously. First confirm the scope, interpreter in C with tokenizer, AST, need to support feature described variable, assignment, arithmetic function definitions with FN, keyword end, first class function, control flow, while loops, if else, built-in functions like print, Must be easy to extend by adding more built-in functions. Also, we need a tokenizer and AST. These are, oh, Jesus Christ, I can't keep up. All right. Let's make sure it didn't already make 20 tool calls. If it's already made 20 tool calls, then, sorry, I've got 2 of these open. I was working on my own LeanAI project. How many tool calls have we made? Oh, scroll up. We're at, 11, 12 tool calls now. All right, so it still has some room, some wiggle room. If it hits 20 tool calls, we just say, hey, you didn't produce a prompt for us to review, and then it'll just pick up where it left off. I probably should have told it, let's do this. This repo is empty. We need to build everything from scratch. Let's save it some time from trying to think and look for files that don't exist. Oh, error parsing tool call raw. The user wants to generate the project. We are in grill me mode. We need to ask one question, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it didn't error out. It just, Gemma does some weird stuff. I wonder how it managed to make the box red. Huh. All right. Alright, so now we're in the grill me mode. We have to comply with the instruction, produce exactly one question at a time in that format. The output should be single question, then the user will answer. This is what we do, what I found. The repository is currently empty, no source files, no configurations present. The user description outlines a typeless language, block delimiters, first class functions, and print built in, and states that the interpreter will be written in C. Current understanding. We need to design an interpreter that tokenizes, parses into an AST, and executes NuScripy scripts. Man, that's hard to say. The exact execution model, direct interpretation of the AST, or compilation of an intermediate representation bytecode has not been specified. Should the interpreter evaluate the AST directly, interpreted execution, or compile the script into bytecode format that a virtual machine will run? I had 2 options. Direct AST interpretation, simpler, fewer passes, easier to implement. Bytecode compilation adds a compile step, may improve performance but increases complexity. That is a good question. I feel like this is supposed to be an interpreted language. Let me reopen the web page. Interpreter for simple language called NuScripy. Okay, so did he say in his video if it's compiled? Let me see if I could skip around here.
A codex, you basically start in here and you can say things like read the readme file, and then you can say create a plan to implement it. Then you just talk to it and it goes away, and it might go away for a long time doing all the different tasks it's got to do. So what is the task? Same as the previous video. I've got a language I invented, NuScripy, and I want an interpreter for it. So this project is a script interpreter for a simple language called NuScripy. It's typeless, there are no curly brackets, no semicolons. And I've actually got the full README file on my GitHub repository if you'd like to take a look at that. The example code that I give it is actually much longer than this because I cover.
Let's see.
cover
Assuming
many
compiled.
aspects of the language inside that example program. But this is a good section here to show you the kind of thing it's got to be able to do. It's got to be able to do functions. It's got to be able to do assignments of integers, of strings. It's got to be able to do if statement. Interpreter. It ran all the competition. Well, when I used Codex with GPT 5.5, it took 6 minutes. It built a fully functional interpreter. It ran all the example code. I asked it to create some example scripts that would test different cases. It did that as well, and everything worked perfectly. I tried exactly the same thing with Codex again, but not using GPT 5.5, but using a local LLM. That's what the other video is about, and that failed miserably. You can see all about that in the other video. So what happened this time around? We're now using open code and local LLM. I've got good results across the board. So in each case, so that's Quen 3.6, 35 billion, Quen 3.6, 27 billion, Quen 3.
I still can't tell if he's having it create a compiler or not. I'm assuming direct AST implementation. Because I can't find in the repo where it says, and I can't find in the video because it doesn't show all the questions that he answered to get to a result. The project demo was designed the tokenizer, current understanding. We need a lexer that splits source into tokens, a parser that builds an AST, and an interpreter that walks that AST. Specific token set and how they are represented in C have not been defined. What set of token types should the lexer emit for NuScripy? Ident, number, string, plus, assign, if, else, while, return, function end, l-paren, r-paren, comma, etc. Recommended answer. Provide a comprehensive list of token kinds that cover all language constructs. Clarify any token that may combine multiple characters. Defining the token set determines the lexer implementation, the grammar in the parser, and the later AST note types. Ambiguity here would propagate through the rest of the design. Well, I don't see anywhere in here where he answered these questions. I mean, there's no way. I don't see how you could ever get from this little thing in ChatGPT, if this is all you gave it, that you're ever just one-shotting this. There's no chance. There's not enough information here. Needs a tokenizer. It needs to use an AST. Ask questions if need. Yeah, of course it needs to ask questions. This is the worst. This is probably the most unhinged request without more definition. There's no chance that this would ever work, not even in ChatGPT. I don't understand how in the video you said it did it in under 6 minutes. How many questions did you answer before the 6-minute timer started? There's no way. There's no way. In fact, you know what? I can do this. Look, Codex, right here. We will even give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's do this. Where is that README? README. Okay, we'll copy all this. Copy that. Come back over here. Codex. We'll even do this. We'll do GPT 5.5 extra high. Enter. This project directory is completely empty. I need you to build the following. Let's see how many questions Codex has. He said he got this done in under 6 minutes. Okay, so we've got a minute in so far. And all it's done is looked at the directory, and now it's trying to create a directory. And he said Codex built this in under 6 minutes. I don't see it. I mean, just getting through in a clean directory with nothing else in a clean room. And where's, like, I guarantee it's going to have questions, or it's just going to implement this and it's not going to work. It's just going to spit out some garbage, use all my, I don't even know if I have enough usage limit left to pull this off. We'll see. Probably not. Okay, so we're almost 2 minutes in now. This is going to be the most boring video ever, but 2 minutes in now, and we got nothing. It's making a source directory. Source, nothing in it. Include, nothing in it. Jesus Christ. Took over 2 minutes 20 seconds. All it's done is made, it saw where it was and then made a directory. Lexer token stream, AST parser, runtime values, environments, interpreter, and standard library registration. I'm about to add those files plus a makefile example script, README, and a task breakdown document so the project is usable immediately and has a clear growth path. If this works, the only reason this could potentially ever work is due to the fact that he's tried this so many times with ChatGPT and Codex that it's now cached. We're gonna find out here. 3 minutes in. Surprisingly, it asked me no questions, which tells me from this I couldn't build this from this document. There's not enough information. And I write code by hand too. There's no chance. There's not enough detail here. So if I couldn't write it, whatever the hell this is producing is gonna have so many potential errors that it's not even funny. This could probably is gonna be so brittle that it's gonna break in every spot you could imagine or envision. So print message plus total. So message and it's just disparate pieces. If total is equal to 30, print message perfect. Else print message plus total. You're only at 29, so that's just a simple counter. Double equal sign. Oof. I guess, yeah, I don't know. But then you get to the triple equal signs. What do we do in JavaScript here? C-style operators, while loops. That's rough. Assign a function to a variable. First class functions. I don't know. Whew, that is spamming a lot of code. 15,000 lines so far. There's no chance this is going to be right. Oh, wait. Yeah, what's our timer at? Okay, so we're over 6 minutes. Okay. And remember, this is Codex, their newest, latest, greatest model. With extra high setting. So I can't imagine what questions he answered. And my local LLM's like, I mean, it could try to YOLO it, but a local model is not going to one-shot with the context window of 128K is not going to one-shot 2,000 lines of code. There's no way. They start choking at around 500. I wish that still did the old pop-up that listed those. It doesn't. Files change. Make file 29 lines, 90 lines, 23, 40, 254. Codex is really good. There we go. 589 lines at just creating these ginormous files that when you try to review, it's just buried so much terrible logic that you will never find it. And if you do find it, you're only finding it because you've encountered a bunch of errors. It's just spamming to try to handle every potential case that's ever existed in the universe. Oh. Look at the if statements. And if statements aren't bad, but what the hell is this doing? So while it matches a new line, do nothing? Just nothing? Or just keep parsing, I guess, is what it's saying. I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm a good C programmer, but this doesn't look right to me. Alright, let's see what happens here. View, terminal, appearance, panel. There we go. Oh shoot, that is not what I want. Yeah, that's fine. I want to copy that, but ChatGPT does not want me to. Current count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Result is perfect. Let's look at what that script looks like. It's under examples, example NS, example program, Variable assignment in math. Typeless numbers in strings just work. Total 0, count 1. Message the result is... Okay. Function definition. No types, no braces. Uses in to close the function calculate value. Local scope multiplier on if value is greater than 10, multiplier equals 5. Return value multiplier, first class function, assigning a function to a variable. Operation, so it's calling that function, okay. First class functions, assigning a function to a variable. Control flow, while loop, while count is less than or equal to 5. Bonus operation. Calling that, sending in the number. Total is equal to total plus bonus. Hold on, now I gotta look at the doc here. Okay, it's literally just the doc itself, this example script. Okay, so alright, so it can run the example script. I think it designed another one, smoke test. What does this do? Make adder, base, function value, return base plus value, return add length, make adder 10, print add 10, 5.
I'm gonna go down and see what my card does.
Okay, great. Make adder base, function add value, return base plus value. Base, okay, so that's going to be 10 plus, so a function consuming a function. Why? Why wouldn't you just call the other function inside of that function? Because then this would generally be a class, but okay, whatever. I is equal to 3, while I is less than, or greater than 0, then subtract 1, and print done, print bad. If I is equal to 0, print done, else print bad. Okay, so this is simple. What happens if I set this number to -1? Save. And so we want to build, but instead of example, oh, come on. Instead of example, we want to do smoke. We want the smoke. 9 and done. Okay. 5. 15 and done. That doesn't seem right. Well, I is greater than 0, then subtract I. I is equal to 3. Okay, so what the fuck is this kind of test? So the adder goes in here at 10, and then function add value, return base plus value, which is here 15, and then so this loop here is entirely irrelevant because you would want this to run 3 times. So if I is equal to 0, yeah, so I would not be equal to 0 here. It would be equal to 3. Hold on. Alright, so let's set this back to where it was. Greater than, we should also, what is it? I plus 0 done. Now, I should probably make that easier to read, right? How is it 0? Because it just looped through without actually printing. So if you were actually going to do something like that, you would want that. What the fuck? And then you would want see, this is why you can't rely on ChatGPT. This is just bad. Come on. Alright, 15 2 bad, 15 1 bad, 15 0 done. Because wait, shouldn't the base be changing each time? Base. So the base, oh, no, because I set the base inside of here. Okay. So it keeps getting reset to 10. Okay, that's my fault. Alright. Yep, okay. Take those 2 out. I got carried away. Save. Alright, 15 2 1 done. Oh, because this one does need to go in. And the I minus has to happen before the if statement, otherwise it doesn't end. Okay, yep. Alright. No. Why, base plus value, the base is only set 1 time. Base. I don't know how it decided to interpret this. Maybe that has to be at the top. I don't know. Undefined variable make adder. Because I'm trying to call make adder before. Okay. Add 10. And then I call add 10 with 5. I see. Yeah. So you would assume. Okay. Yep. You would so you would assume that this would be something like this. Can we actually see some math happen? Alright, so we're starting at 10. We're calling make adder. Make adder is then going to attempt to return add value. This is going to call add 5. Right? I don't know. I'm learning a new language here right now. Undefined variable base. Base should be set. Return add. So, we're gonna figure out how to do this. Okay. I don't like this language already. Alright, so we would want to set a variable addition equals add, and then 5. Okay. And then that goes in here, calls base plus, no, this should call I just want it to increment. What are we doing here? Was there any context for incrementation in here? Oh, minus, minus, plus, plus. But there's not really a definition for base value incrementation by another derivative, is there? Like increments of 5? Increments of anything other than 1? Total plus bonus. Total is equal to itself plus that. Okay. Alright, so let's unscrew this. Let's get it back to where it was. Okay. I had 5. This should be total is equal to base plus value no, it would be maybe. I don't know. I don't know how this is handled. No. So it would be itself, right? But then it's going to add in base every time. So we'd have to do subtotals equal to base plus value. Okay. Then total is equal to sub itself plus subtotal to actually get some addition, right? Undefined variable total. What? Subtotal. Total is equal to total. So total has to be defined. Wait. Okay, so he does define variables prior to their use. So I could just go up here. No. Equal to 0. It's probably going to give me the same error. Okay, 15, 30, 45, 0, done. Okay. So addition works. Multiplication. Does it even define? Hold on. Do we define multiplication in here? Am I doing it wrong? Probably. How do we do multiplication? Return value times multiplier. So value being value comes into calculate bonus. What calls calculate bonus? It's defined in a variable. Calculate bonus operation calls calculate bonus with no value. So then operation is called down here with count, and well, count is less than or equal to 5. What does count start at? 1. So count starts at 1. So, but the multiplier is literally just the multiplier symbol, right? So we take the subtotal times base times value, and then we take the total times the subtotal, just kind of keep the multiplication string going. But see, so total is starting at 0, and adder is starting at 10, so that's our base. I really hate the fact, this is just obfuscation for no reason. Alright, add 10, or add 5, but instead of addition we're doing multiplication. So we start at 10, multiply by 5. So we do our base, which is our 10, and then we do our add 5, and that says add 10. Call that, and we add 5. But the 5 is now a multiplier, so base times value. It should just work, right? 10 times 5 is 50. 50 times 50 is 250, I think. Let's see. 50 times 50. Oh, sorry, 2,500. I left off 0. But I'm getting zeros. Just zeros. I don't understand. Just 0. Okay. So let's make it simpler. 1 and 1. No, failed. Okay, let's do 2. Let's do divided by. I don't know. I don't think this is a successful implementation by Claude by any stretch of the imagination. So, I don't know. I am not going to go through 2,500 lines plus. Wait, how many lines did it produce? 2,625 lines of code to determine why this is broken. Sure, yeah. Claude can one-shot it. It doesn't work. It's terrible. So, yeah, good luck. Definitely Local LLM will not build this because the scope document that it's starting with is far too narrow. It does not provide enough information, which is why my LLM is asking a bunch of questions. Now, if you went through and you answered all of these questions, there's probably going to be like 50 of them. If you went through and you answered all 50 of these, I guarantee you it will pump out 500 or less lines of code, and you would actually get something that works. I'm not going to say 100%. Some of the math functionality is probably going to fail. However, I guarantee you that the majority of this is going to just work one shot, done, if you work through with this actual harness LeanAI and not with Codex 5.4, which did produce something, but it's something that doesn't work, and it's something that I am not going to ever touch to try to figure out, because it producing something from this that's 2,600 lines of code, I would throw this out in a second, which I'm about to, because this is insane. This is not usable. There are going to be so many bugs in here that you will never find that are buried unless you go through every line of code. And at that point, you might as well wrote it yourself. So does Codex produce something in 9 minutes, not 6 minutes? Sure. Is it something that's going to work? No. It's not. It's not. That document is not even close to well-defined enough. This is the one of the worst scope documents I've ever seen in my life. If somebody at work ever gave me something like this and said, "Hey, we need you to implement this," I would look at them like they're crazy. I'd be like, who wrote this? I need more information. This isn't enough. What are we doing here? We're working off an interpreted language. This isn't going to be that's going to have a C compiler interpreter, and there are so many things that are not defined here. So we're never going to have a for loop. We're only going to use while loops. I don't like the idea of functions inhaling functions, and like, I don't know. I'm not a fan. I'm sure some people will love this. I dislike it very much. I mean, I don't hate the end thing, but what's the difference between end and the curly bracket? I mean, what are we doing here? There's no difference. Except for 3 characters. And if in the real world you have to type this and it's not written by an AI, unless this is intended to be an AI language, to be written, less characters equals mo beta. You end up with the same result. You have a starting point and an ending point with your little curly braces, right? Also, it's easier for the interpreter to determine where it started and where it ended, because I could see a bunch of places here where this is going to fail. And then it's like PHP, where we don't define integers, variables, numbers. How did Claude decide what's an integer and what's a variable or a string, right? Like, I'm sorry, not a variable, a string or an integer. Like, how is it making that determination? At least with PHP, I could tell. I don't know. I'm not going through that 2,600 lines to determine where it's making that distinction of whether or not we're doing this plus as a concatenation of 2 items, a string and a number, or if it's a number and a number being added, or like, I would never build something like this with a with Claude or Codex or anything with just this document. It's just not going to work. There's not enough information. No curly brackets. I mean, these are here for a reason. These make the interpreter so much easier. It's not there to be a jerk. This reduces the interpreter of 2,600 lines down to like 700 lines. And those 700 lines are going to be way easier to suss out than trying to determine all of the breakage. I don't like it. I don't like how Python does it either, to be fair. With tabs. It drives me nuts. I think it's annoying, yes, to type those brackets and whatever, and it's annoying when you get the error, you missed a curly brace or semicolon. Yes, it is slightly annoying. But how long does it take to fix? 30 seconds? I mean, I just don't fully understand why we would do it this way. I just wish that the scope document was better. This is not good. I mean, it could be good, but in its current implementation of whatever that is, 50 lines of text, there's not enough information in the world for any Claude, Codex, anybody to actually generate something usable from that. It generated something, for sure, that functionally executes, to be fair, the example, nothing else. It will functionally execute the example, and it only required 2,625 lines of code to guarantee that the example will run. So, I mean, I don't know, Gary, I will retry this, and I am happy to retry this. Or, tell you what, you can download my app, LeanAI, and then install it into your own VS Code, put the prompt in here, okay? And I would recommend, I wouldn't even use Gemma. To be honest, the settings that you want, if you want to one-shot this and you want to get good questions, you're going to want to set Gemma 4 26B to be your request model, okay? So that's going to be your, if you want to one-shot this is what you're going to do. Set this to Gemma 4. Now you're going to have to answer some questions, some hard questions. And when you answer them, like I said, at the end, you're going to get out 700 maybe lines of code. And that 700 lines of code is going to be damn good. So you're going to want Gemma 4 31B. You're going to set the context window to 128K. That's it. Let Llama handle the rest, okay? Then you're going to come up here. You're going to set Quinn 35B as the coding model. 3.6 35B. Context 127. Let Llama handle that. Llama here, we're going to put a smart model because Gemma and GPT OSS can't do tools for some stupid reason. And actually, it can do tools in Llama CPP. It is not doing tools in Llama, so I guess that's not really Gemma's fault. That's Llama's got some bugs. They just had a release 22.1, I think. Hold on. I just updated yesterday to try to fix this so that I could actually give a reasonable demo of this. Llama Tech version, what are we at? I'm sorry, 23.1, not 22. 23.1. I was at 23 yesterday, and Gemma is still falling apart. So, Llama, you got some work to do. That's not Gemma's fault. If you don't want a bunch of tool error calls, just use Quinn. Quinn 3.6 27B, this is going to be your expert planner. The reason you always want to use an expert as a dense model is it's like having me write code for you, right? ADD is going to kick in about, I don't know, 2 hours in or so. Or I'm going to get hyper-focused and I'm going to kick the shit out of whatever you ask me to do. If for whatever reason I'm suffering with attention right then, what's going to happen is MOE model. It's the best way to describe it. It's going to call the wrong expert. It's not going to fully get or grok what needs to occur next, and it's going to fall apart. So planning model needs to be dense. Your coding model can be an MOE. The reason it can be an MOE is because the dense model is going to write the plan that the MOE is going to execute. And so this model is basically using my harness, inside of my harness, doing what it needs to do, then creating a contract and a new harness inside of a harness for this model to keep it on track. Okay. I recommend Gemma or GPT OSS. Gemma's significantly, oh, that's the wrong one. I want the MOE version. That one, sorry, the 26B. I recommend Gemma. So the Chinese models, for whatever reason, I bet you they are amazing if you can speak Mandarin and you type Mandarin. However, they're not so good at the question answer part for English. It doesn't like put out Mandarin or anything. It just, I don't know, it just doesn't follow up. And I would like to assume that is based on a language barrier. Just baked into the model. I don't think it has anything to do with anything else. Anyways, Gemma 4 or GPT OSS is what you're going to want to use for the request model, which is the one that you're going to chat with at first to actually create a solid idea of what you're requesting. And then so then you're going to get the back and forth question answer with that. And then you're going to come over and it's going to do a little bit of research. If you're in a blank repo, though, just tell it it's blank so it doesn't waste a bunch of time, right? And it won't fail any tool calls. It's just going to go directly into the question answer mode, and you can skip the nonsense of waiting 5 minutes for it to, do its whole thing. Then it's going to load in, once it finishes that, into the Quinn 3.6 35B model. It's going to try to explore. It's going to list the directory, see that nothing's in there, and then it's going to record no observations in the journal, and then move on to the next phase, and then the next phase of creating the scope documentation. And then eventually it'll get to the planning step, and then the planning step will be the important part where it will actually produce a plan. Once it produces that plan, then it'll go back into implementation if you approve the plan, and it will actually generate you, like I said, maybe 700 lines of code, and it's actually going to work. I'm not saying it's going to function on every single use case, but I guarantee you it's going to function better than whatever the hell Codex just produced. 2,600 lines of code. And again, maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I just don't feel like that 50 lines spec sheet is enough. Like, it's not enough for me to do it by hand to write it out. So, use this, answer all those questions. It's going to grill the shit out of you. You're probably going to answer about 50 questions. Then at the end, it's going to actually produce something that works for you. And this is all local. Nobody, Codex doesn't get anything. And if you really want to get fancy, you can toss some Anthropic or some ChatGPT or some Codex or even Gemini in here. I mean, you can back and forth round robin the shit out of this, all within the same harness. So whatever you want to do, the options are here, and you can save tokens by having your local model do the code implementation. You can have Codex write the plan. You can have Claude write the plan. You can have Gemini write the plan. You can have whoever you want write the plan. You don't have to use Olama. You can install the sister project and run VLLM, or you can use an OpenAI compatible endpoint, right? So here you would put in that, and I need to fix that actually. That's a good point. So you would just put in whatever the URL is to the OpenAI endpoint, right? V1, and then whatever the whatever it is, and then your API key equals whatever. You'd look at their docs real quick, put that in. You can use their endpoint, right? You could do that same thing for Llama CPP if you'd like. Anything that's OpenAI compatible. So this could be your Llama CPP link, right? And obviously then you don't need anything beyond that, right? And whatever your port is. Llama CPP, does it have a chat input? I guess it depends on how you're running Llama CPP, right? Anyways, whatever your Llama CPP link is, toss that in there. You can use Llama CPP. So then if you want to use Gemma, you can. I do not recommend using Gemma for implementation currently with Olama. I would love to, but it just doesn't seem to be working. But I think this will fix Gary explains issue with local LLMs. I agree. Local LLMs by themselves are hot garbage without a different kind of harness than what you're going to get from OpenCode or from Claude. They are intended harnesses for models that have much larger data sets. 35B is like, they left that in the dust at GPT-1, right? Their models have been trained in a very specific way to use their harness. My harness is specifically designed for the failure points of local LLMs, which is one, MOEs. MOEs are absolute hot garbage at producing a coherent plan. It's never going to happen. It can follow small, reasonable chunks of requests, and it can do a great job, and it can do it very quickly. So they're great for chat. They are great for small step bites of implementation. They are also great for gathering context from multiple files, because it's looking for a very narrow thing in a file. It can return that thing, right? It's not having to do heavy thinking or thought process of how to take all of these different things and put them back together, because if the wrong expert activates for whatever reason, it is not going to work. So MOE models, they're fine, just not for doing hard planning. You need a dense model for the hard planning for all the data that the MOE gathered. Then the dense model hands back off, so you're not sitting here for 4 hours, to the MOE, and then the MOE does the actual implementation. But more context in, better plan, better implementation, right? Gatherer, implementer, planner sends back to the implementer, right? So this gathers the information. This also gathers the information from the human. I would love to solidly use Gemma, because I just feel like it's better in a lot of ways than Quinn. But right now it just doesn't work great with Ollama. And the reason I use Ollama, just to be clear, just so people know that I am a little lazy, but the reason that I'm using Ollama is because it's, for this harness specifically, is because it's easier to set in the environment variables. Yeah, there's nothing in here I care about. In here, your KV cache you can set to Q8. You could do that in Llama CPP too. The big things, the big wins with Ollama. If my VRAM is full, right, with a model on my 2 GPUs, first of all, super easy to set up those environment variables, and then just it knows how much VRAM is there, and it just manages it, right? Secondly, and you know, like I said, Llama CPP is amazing, but the other benefit here is that when I'm switching models here, when I'm switching from Gemma into my phase 1 of the plan, right? I'm switching from Gemma to the handoff for Quinn 3.6 to start doing investigation of the current code base, which in this case, there is no existing code base, so it's a little annoying that it has to go through that, but it's better to go through an extra step than skip a step and then somebody's super annoyed, right? So during that handoff, Gemma gets unloaded. All that VRAM is now available for Quinn to use. Now Quinn gets to do its exploration, then it gets unloaded. That context is handed off by the Python over to the dense model, right? Dense model gets to do its work, and each of these individual pieces gets all of your VRAM. So you're not trying to run 3 models at one time, because there's no chance that you're ever going to pull that off locally. I mean, okay, if you're extra wealthy, you could probably pull that off, but if you're not, then this is the best way to handle it. Is Ollama can just load them in and out, and then you don't have to worry about your VRAM. The VRAM is just handled. If you have overflow onto the RAM and the CPU, you have a little bit of overflow, right? And the preserve thinking across turns, I also added that in because I really want to use Gemma. Like, I think, doesn't Quinn 3.6 do that as well? Yeah. So, this idea of preserving thinking across turns is really cool, because this means that if Ollama ever implements this, you're going to see this system fly even faster, because now you're not going to get those chat bubbles that are, oops, wrong thing. You're not going to get those chat bubbles you see here where it's asking kind of the same questions, right? It'll already know, oh, wait, I already thought about that and I moved past it, right? So here it started doing, user wants me to help me build a plan to generate the following project. The repository seems to be empty, but it also said the directory is empty here, right? Like, that's kind of just wasted time, right? And it just keeps trying. It's like, look, you've listed. Let's move on, right? This is wild. This is an Olama Gemma thing. This is not my harness. I can't solve all of Olama and Gemma's talking points and issues because, oh Lord, that'd take a lifetime and a half. But anyways, I will say the grill me thing here, you can disable it if you hate it. I personally think that it is absolutely necessary for local LLMs. You can't do it like you're doing a ChatGPT or a Codex, where you can give it, I don't know, six lines of here's what I want to do, and it's just going to implement it, right? The reason why is because things can be misinterpreted so much. So I was doing so much digging, and then I found, I want to give him credit, Matt Pocock maybe created the grill me skill, and he's got a bunch of YouTube videos about it, and it is fantastic. Matt Pocock, yes. And his GitHub is github.com/Matt Pocock, Pocock. Anyways, the grill me skill should be in core policy, right? Chat. You know what? Here. Oh, also this whole system, I don't know if you guys were able to see that, but here you can click the little pencil icon to edit the prompts. It will then pull up the in VS Code. I made it this very native. This is also true of JetBrains. This also works in JetBrains IDE, and this is all available in the extension store. Just LeanAI. There it is, right? And you can download it, install it. It should be the exact same in VS Codium, which is what I'm using. If you like VS Code, that's fine. I just don't like the whole analytics that are collected as I'm using it. It just doesn't make sense to me. Why do they need that? I get they want to collect errors. I'm fine with that, but all the other stuff just seems silly. It also works in JetBrains IDE, which I think is also a fantastic IDE. So you get all these same features. You can click the pencil, gives you access to every single prompt I've created in the system, so you don't have to dig through my code. You can adjust the prompts as you see fit. The only thing to be aware of is, and I even added this into the harness here. What did I do? Oh, because I typed chat. Duh. I gotta clear the search. These ones that say caution, the reason they say caution is because these prompts here are directly related to the Python harness speaking with the LLM, and things need to be in a specific format. Those things that need to be in a specific format are indicated by our NuScripy's favorite thing, and that is curly brackets. So, oh wait, I'm not scrolled down far enough. Okay. So are indicated by the curly brackets. In this case is a testability requirement, right? So those things need to stay. You can modify any of the standard text you would like, but the actual stuff in the curly brackets, please do not get rid of that. You can change this. You can even get rid of that if you're feeling frisky. You know what? Do it, and then save it, and that's fine. If you don't like it, it breaks things, reset to defaults. You're safe. Fail safe, you're okay. Change it till your heart's content, even on the caution ones. Just have fun with it, right? They're all right here. You get this notes thing. At any point in time, you can ask your LLM to take a note for you. Please take a note when I get more new Scripy details to retry this attempt at building an AST. How about that? Okay. And we'll get to watch our LLM create a note for us. I don't even know what LLM I'm using right now. We just changed so many things. I think I'm still using Gemma. Got it. I've saved that note. Whenever you're ready to share more details, just let me know and we can revisit the AST design. Okay, so all notes, there it is. User request to take a note, please take a note. Yep, okay. So now, this isn't done though. You're gonna notice here in just a few minutes, this is going to change from this little note. That's going to change to something like this. It's actually going to categorize it by the project you're working on. In this case, the project name is going to be NuScripy, I think is the folder I created. Yeah, NuScripy. So this will be defined by NuScripy. And then it will, based on my note there, it probably won't in this case really be able to create a to-do list from that simple note, right? But if you take a larger thing and ask it to create a note of it, or you are chatting with it, you say, hey, make a note of this, or create a note for me of this, it will create that note. It will then create a to-do list for you to, tackle. Or you can ask the LLM to start tackling the stuff on your to-do list, right? So you get a to-do app, you get full access to all the prompts, you can modify them to your heart's content. You get access to the settings to switch out your models. If you're really froggy and you like to have fun, you can turn on text-to-speech and speech-to-text, and you can vibe code to your heart's content. When you're vibe coding and you have both text-to-speech and speech-to-text turned on, right next to the send button, you will see a little microphone icon you can click on, and that will allow you to turn on speech-to-text. Otherwise, text-to-speech, obviously, the thinking boxes are not read aloud to you, but any actual output from the LLM is read aloud to you. And then it can read your image, so if you're doing web design and you take a screenshot, send it into the chat box there, it will take and create a grid, 3x3 grid, so that then when you're having a conversation with your LLM about, the search box should be in the top left quadrant or whatever, or it should be in the middle quadrant in the top, it will understand, because generally with these local models, if you send it an image and say, describe this image, for whatever reason, if you're not clear and say, not only describe this image, but tell me where these items are located within the image, it's just going to say, oh, there's a search box, there's a navigation, there's this, there's some content about this. For whatever reason, it just doesn't go through, oh, this is located here, that's located here. When you give it the implicit instructions that I've given it to any time it receives an image, automatically you're in a grid, you need to review this as a grid and then provide feedback, then you're going to get better results, especially when you're working with UI. It also has the ability to, during testing, you can enable verify web UI and verify desktop UI tools, and that will add a testing step during that planning step, which would be, Quinn 3.627B, right? It will create a planning step where if you're working on a website or you're working on, let's say, a pie game or whatever, like a snake game, it will automatically add a testing step, which will be to launch the application, take a screenshot, and then analyze that screenshot for whatever issue it's looking for, right? Maybe you asked it to fix something or whatever. It can actually then have a better idea of whether or not it actually fixed anything, right? Without you having to manually go in and be like, nope, that visual bug is still there. Like, I don't know why you just fix it. Like, it's not good enough. It needs tools. If you want an LLM to fix something and you want it to be automated, you need to give it the tools it needs to actually perform the job. I haven't fully implemented the supporting audio. I've added the checkbox, but the audio thing, since I already have text-to-speech and speech-to-text, this it doesn't. The reason it's not fully implemented is, number one, it does not work in Ollama at all. The audio portion does not work in Ollama. It does work in Llama CPP, but it's not good. And by it's not good, it's not the model's fault. It's not good right now because of me. I need to do some more work on it. Let's be clear. Yeah, this is definitely a me problem. I need to do some more work on the audio part here. Anyways, text-to-speech exists, speech-to-text exists. I wouldn't use this checkbox yet. I should probably add a beta flag to that or something. That's my bad. Sorry about that. But I don't know. Does anybody have any questions about how this works? I think Gary explains. Gary, if you're watching this, if you see this, man, I think your idea for NuScripy might be a lot of fun. It might be really cool. I don't think, honestly, Codex or Claude are legitimately implementing them fully. I don't, not based on that README. There's no chance. I guarantee you it's broken. There's just no way. I mean, unless, again, you have 500 questions or at least 50 questions you answered with ChatGPT or Claude Code that clarified that tiny blurb which you did not provide to us. Like, it would have been nice if you had, with your Claude implementation or your ChatGPT implementation, first of all, did a hardening test. Like, you just did, like, balls to the wall, like 50 or 100 different scripts, and did all the mathematical operations, made sure everything was hardened, everything worked, everything was great. Then I would say, okay, yeah, Claude or ChatGPT could implement this. But I don't see it, man. I just, you're right. There's no way in hell, to a certain extent you're right. There's no way in hell any LLM is going to take your 50 lines or whatever that is of that README and implement it. But I would love to see a video from you using my harness and with Quinn 3.6 35A3B for the primary model, Quinn 3.6 27B for the expert model, and then just use Gemma to have the conversation with. Gemma asks some fantastic questions. Again, I wish Quinn was better. Quinn thinks too much, especially the MOE model, and then because of the thinking too much, it starts answering the questions it should be asking you for clarification on, and then that's when things go wrong. It's the same thing that Codex does. It's the same thing that Claude does. It starts answering its own questions instead of asking you the questions, and then that's when things go sideways, and you get implementations that look like they work, but they're not really working. Like, if you really actually gave this to 50 developers and you said, here's the full documentation for using this language, there's no chance that it's going to work. So yeah, I mean, again, I like the idea of NuScripy. I think it's cool. I don't really like the syntax, but that's a personal preference, and you know, if I was going to implement something with it, I'm sure it'd be fine. But I think that this harness would solve your problem with local AI. And it's super flexible. You can save yourself tokens. Use the local AI for exploration and implementation and not having to read all your files. Or save your tokens from from the big guys, from, stealing all your money. Use Anthropic or ChatGPT just for building the plan. Your local model can implement and explore. It can do that. Use your local model as the worker, right? Just like Claude and ChatGPT right now, or Codex right now, they use subagents, right? We're using subagents too, but our subagent is free. It's your GPU on your computer, right? Your subagent is going to be, especially if you're using an MOE like Quinn 3.6, Quinn 3.635B, or you're using Gemma if you're using Llama CPP, right? That subagent is going to be 60 tokens a second, and depending on your GPU, let's be clear. And then you use ChatGPT or Anthropic just to build the plan. You're going to save yourself so much money. Your output from Anthropic or ChatGPT is going to be, I don't know, what would that be? Like, let's say a general plan is, let's say it's, well, the way my plans are structured, let's say it's 500 lines. Okay. So 500 lines, let's say there's 160 characters per line. So then we do the math, right? Calculator, and we're gonna aim high, right? So if we said 500 lines per plan times what did I say, 160 characters per line, right? Okay, so that gives us 80,000 characters, and then you divide that by, let's overestimate, let's say 4. I think GPT 5.4 and 5.5 have a better algorithm now, so it's probably going to be closer to 3.5, but let's say 4. I think Claude is probably about the same, but let's say 4. So that's 1,860 tokens, right? And then let's say it received, depending on the complexity of the task and the data gathered, let's say it's probably going to receive another 2,000 tokens, right? So you're paying for 3,860 tokens. I don't know. It just seems like it would be significantly cheaper than paying for the whole exploration and everything that's going to happen when you're using their harness. It's only going to receive the context it needs, and you can do cool stuff like keeping your code private. They don't get to train on your code anymore. Oof, I don't know what they're going to do to improve anymore, guys. That's going to be rough. Snake's going to have to eat its own tail from now on, making its own code if we all use something like this. Also, especially if something new like NuScripy comes out and decides not to allow crawlers to crawl its page, and then implements, I know it's frustrating, guys, nobody wants it, and gals, but implemented something like a CAPTCHA before you could get to the documentation. You don't have to log in, but you got to complete a CAPTCHA before you can read the docs. So there goes ChatGPT and Claude getting trained on your stuff. Other than individuals feeding in details, I suppose you'd have to, you can't do much about that. But anyways, so this is, a whole tool for business and for individuals for being able to keep track of your projects. You have full control of your AI. It's local, and I don't hide anything from you. I mean, it's just simple Python. You can review the code. It's all on GitHub. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if anybody has questions or if anybody's even still watching, but is anybody watching? I got a few views and they clicked off. Chat rate, just one. Just Cassie. Yeah. But LeanAI, if you want to run local AI, I think it's the best harness that was literally designed for local AI. Instead of trying to control local AI through using a conglomerate's harness that's meant for something that is significantly, and let's be clear, better, right? I mean, it doesn't have to ask as many questions. Does that mean it always gets things right? No. Does that mean that the local models with my harness is always going to get everything right? No. But I guarantee it's going to produce approximately the same number of errors that Claude's going to produce. And you control your GPUs, you control your code, you control the harness, you control all of the prompts that exist in here on how everything works. So you can change how it works, you can make it better. If you make it better and you're just like, oh my god, I'm getting the best results ever because you edited one of these prompts, share with the class. Go over to the GitHub. Let me know. I'll update the primary. You know, if people are coming back and saying, yeah, that's the prompt you should be using there, we'll get it more solid. Like, I couldn't figure out how to get better results other than just telling the LLM to keep asking questions until it had clarity. It wasn't good enough. And then I stumbled across Matt Pocock, and I was like, this is what I've been trying to do. I just couldn't express it in the way that he was expressing it, and it works so much better. He was way smarter than me and figured it out, and I'm so glad he did. But yeah, I don't know. I hope more people use it. I would like to get to a 1.0 release, but I will not be doing that until I get a few issues tossed into the GitHub. Primary reason is one developer, one tester. I don't think that's good enough for a 1.0 release. I just think that's stupid for me to do. So I'm going to keep working on things such as the audio for people that are using Llama CPP that want to use instead of using speech to text, then they can use an intermediary that just literally records it. You're going to have more of a delay, by the way, though. Records what you're saying and then sends it in base 64, I believe, is the last time I read the documentation. It's been a couple of weeks since I started on that. But I think you have to base 64 the recorded audio and then send it back to the Llama CPP endpoint for then Gemma to then start going through it. And I'm a little worried about the file size there, right? Because you have a context window. So do I also need to code in cutoff points, or should I do like Pseudo Crondor did with his app, where I look for natural breakpoints where you've paused talking for a minute, immediately stop, grab that, send it over, and then just keep sending it over, and then just ask it not to respond until when? Like, it gets complicated, right? Like, where would I don't know. Anyways, the audio piece is something I would love to use instead of having to use a third-party thing, because it makes the whole application a little bit simpler. A little bit simpler in the instance of I don't have to ship and have you guys install more things to get the benefit of that feature. However, there are a lot of complications into that. How do you like, I only know English, unfortunately. So other languages that are using this, I don't know. That's a big lift, right? Like, ooh, that requires more thought. But this is probably where I'm gonna leave you guys. I'm not getting any questions or anything. I'm not even sure if anybody's watching right now. So thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it. Good night.